Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's the only place to track and keep yourself accountable by looking at all of the essential numbers, from buyer appointments, market appraisals and listing appointments, to listings, sales and income, and working in 45-minute sessions. You'll find it all on Josh Phegan Digital. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, today's a really important conversation, and it's about that pursuit. You know, that if you're an individual and you're starting out in residential real estate, it's just a lot easier to be number one than not. What do you need to do to strive to become the number one inside of your marketplace? Not by ego, but because you want the opportunity to be able to see more buyers, more sellers, do more opens, do more auctions, and create a team and really be here for the long term.
I get asked this, Josh, every day, I'd say, and it's a very simple formula. It's 7 to 10 years of hard work.
Yeah.
And compounding on doing the best, but you're doing everything the best you can and compounding on and getting better and better every day and thinking the long game. It's something that, it's not something I actually thought of. You know, it sort of came to me. It's like, it's not something I go in every day saying I have to earn this amount of money. It's more about the deals that I do. Like, I don't, it's probably a lot of it's mindset, thinking long game, making sure that you don't burn people along the way, which, I think these days the ethics of real estate and the morals of everyone's a lot better, but there's still a lot of bad practice out there, like particularly when you're negotiating with multiple buyers and you burn them because you haven't told them how the process would be. That doesn't happen with us. So there's so many different things that come into play, but if you're I look back at when I started, 20 plus years ago, and it's not something I thought I would, where I would be today. But I know that I started with the right company. I started with the right person. I asked for a lot of information. I learned. I listened to CDs in my car and trained myself. I went to seminars. I listened to John McGrath every day. There's just so many things you got to do, but I think a lot of young people get flustered because they think it's going to happen quick, or they've got too many things on their plate. But if you cut out all the distractions and peel back the layers and do everything right, which I would say is great buyer work, build a database, maintain a database, give them relevant information, and don't think you need a listing out of that person every time you call them.
The interesting thing is that, like, I look at it and you are really treating it beyond a profession, but really this conversation of how do I treat it as a game, and that you just love the opportunity of who could I ring about that one and who could I put into that one and who could I have a conversation with. And so you're never like getting caught up in the emotions of the day or the market of the day, but you're more about like, how do I find the people who really want to do something? And what was a really big driver is that, like, each year, when you got to look at your business plan and how do I go to get growth, particularly in the really strong aggressive growth years, it was, is it going to be average sale price this year? Is it going to be average fee? Is it going to be the volume of my transactions? And we were looking for ways to do that. And then ultimately, once you get to that point where you've pushed the edges, then how do I actually do it on a day less a week? So it becomes about productivity and efficiency and all of those things. But it's really important to remain humble right the way through all of this, because I see a lot of agents that, I think COVID was a good example of that. All of a sudden, they doubled their numbers, and then they went out and they spent all the money as though that was going to happen forever. And then the next year, when their numbers dropped off because they weren't being carried by, a good set of trade wins, then all of a sudden they didn't know what to do. How important is it to be able to adapt to the market of the day and to not get carried away with the best year and assuming that it's just going to happen every year without additional work or changes in your mentality and your systems?
If you've got to make sure, that you're really prepared for the fact that, the market's going to change, interest rates are going to go up, you're going to have a higher cost of living. Like, I think most agents live on a day-by-day basis. I was very lucky that when I first started 22, I bought my first property, and in COVID I bought a couple of properties because of the excess money that we earned. And obviously now I've got higher interest rates and whatnot, but that's driving me to still make a lot of phone calls and do what I do every day. But I think it's sort of like I was reading a couple of books when I was away, and I was thinking, well, particularly say NFL players and NBA players, like 3 years after they finish, they're broke. because I haven't invested, along the way. And I know that won't happen with me when I retire, because I've invested, along the way. So I think you've got to make sure when you become number one in your marketplace, that you're being smart about what you're doing as well, and not not just wasting your money away and whatnot. So I think about being about number one is about being number one smart in your head about what you're going to do with what you're doing, and making sure that that ego doesn't get to you and you end up being broke or whatever it might be.